All right, Revelation chapter number 9. This is not going to be a message of shouting and running and all that stuff. It's just going to be, I'm just going to ask you to sit there. I'm going to ask you to pay attention. Because this is kind of prophetic. It's not really prophecy, but I'm going to show you some things that we all need to be cognizant of and be aware of. And I think this will probably be something that will help you if you'll be able to understand what we're looking at today. There's an evil that's taking place in society, and we don't even realize that it's going on. In fact, it's not even in this country, or is it? And we see that it is on the France and Switzerland border. But with that being stated, if you'll stand with me, and we're going to read in Revelation chapter number 9, and the book of the Revelation chapter number 9, and notice this, chapter number 9, verse number 1. When you get there, say amen. Amen. All right. It says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth." The word star there, aster, where we get asteroid from. "And to him was given a key of the bottomless pit." Now let me just show you something here. The word bottomless pit is not necessarily hell. It's got the idea of an outer darkness. It's got the idea of a prison where something has been kept. This is not hell. But now watch this. Verse number 2. "And he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts." So this word smoke, there's an opaqueness, there's a darkness. The word here means a blackness that we can't see through. And out of that blackness that comes locusts. Out of the smoke, there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. "And unto them were given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their forehead. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it. And shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them." So something has happened at this point in the tribulation period where men can't die. Verse number 7. "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle." So they're aggressive. They're not scared. There's no fear there. The horse is prepared unto the day of battle. The safety is of the Lord. "And on their heads were crowns like gold." Ironically, the word crowns here is the Greek word stephanos, meaning a victor's crown. It's where we get the idea of when they would win the Olympiad, they would put the crown, the wreath of ivy on their head that they had won. "And their faces were as the faces of men." So they had the appearance and the ability to blend in with man. "And they had hairs, the hair of women." So something as the women's, it's the hair of women, and what draws to them. It's what makes them a woman. So we see here how that they got the ability to be attractive, to things were to be attractive to them. But then their teeth are the teeth of lions. So when man is attracted to them, they have the capability of destroying them with their mouth. They had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron. "And the sound of their wings, it was the sound of chariots and many horses running to battle." They come and they're protected and they're ready to do a task. They had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter." Father, we come to you, Lord, this morning in the name of Jesus. Thank you for the good singing. God, I ask you, God, that you protect us, God, in the next few minutes, God, as we try to expose the enemy. And God, I just ask you, God, that you'd help us to see his plans. And God, I pray that, God, for those in this room who may not be saved, God, I pray, God, right now that you speak, God, Lord, speak through grace and mercy. Draw them to your side. God, Lord, we know that time is getting short, God, and we must be about your business. Help us this morning, God, to stay focused and to stay cognizant of what's happening. And God, Lord, thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen, amen. All right. Now then, we've got to understand that what's taking place at this point is there's an unleashing of demonic forces on the earth. And this is during the tribulation period. Remember, what we're waiting on now prophetically, the only thing that's got to happen, the last soul to be saved. As soon as the last soul is saved, then we're out of here. And as soon as we're out of here, we're in heaven. To be absent from the body, be present with God. Now we've got to understand that once we're there, we don't have, those of us that are saved have no problems at all. But here on earth, we know that there's a 7-year period of, well, some people have said peace, and I don't know that it's peace as much as it is peace under authority. In other words, martial law for the first 3.5 years. The next 3.5 years is going to be all-out chaos. It's going to be tremendous warfare on this planet like it's never been seen before, to a point that it's called the time of Jacob's troubles in the book of Jeremiah. Now, what we're seeing is during this time, some point during the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period, there is a releasing of demons on the face of the planet like it's never been before. See, we've got to understand that their demonic forces are separated from us right now by a veil or a curtain, if you will, of darkness that we can't peer into. If we could see right now, if the Lord would somehow just, maybe up there on that big white screen, if He would just for a second, pull back the veil or the curtain and let us see into what's happening around the third heaven, it would scare us to death. The movies that we watch, see, you've got to understand, demonic forces, they're peacocks, man. They want to be seen. We see these things in the way that we, look at the movies that are around. Look at them, Drag Me to Hell and Paranormal Activity. We see these movies that are out, and it's the devil himself showing us what he's made up of. But what humans do, we like to be attracted to the spirit of fear. We like to be attracted to these things. Even to the point that in Genesis 6, the sons of God, being the angels, the fallen angels, saw the daughters of men. And the daughters of men, the daughters of Adam, were attracted to the fallen angels. That'll give you a reason why you girls like the bad boy. You don't want, you don't want that good little preacher boy who just keeps himself pure and clean. You want somebody covered with tattoos and earrings, and man, you want somebody that'll come in and treat you like dirt instead of somebody who's going to treat you like you deserve to be treated. And see, that's what you don't understand. That's a satanic draw. And it even happened in Genesis 6. Thank God. Man, you know what I like? I just like to see some of these girls right here, find them a guy that's going to love them and would love them like Christ loved the church and give himself for it, praise God. And be willing to lay his life down for them. Because a woman, a true wife, man, that is absolutely the best gift that God can ever give a man. But now let's look at this. Now we understand, if we start, that there's an evil here that's taking place, and this is on the Swiss and Franco border. Now what this thing is called is CERN. C-E-R-N. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, in fact, I even titled this, Should We Be Concerned? And I thought, well, that'll be a nice little way, just kind of break the ice and kind of break the monotony of how serious this message is going to be. But we've got to understand here that in Revelation, chapter number 4, the rapture of the church happens. Chapter number 5, the crown king takes a sealed book out of the hand of him that sits on the throne. Praise ensues in heaven. Chapter number 6, the first 6 seals of the book are open. Tribulation starts in chapter number 6 of the Revelation. Chapter number 7, the sealed saints are set out to preach. The heavenly saints have tears wiped from their eyes. Here they are, the 144,000 are preaching. Up there, the church has been through the judgment seat of Christ, and we've got our tears wiped from our eyes. Chapter number 8, the 7th seal is open. Now, the 7th seal is so bad that in heaven there's 30 minutes of silence. Let's just think about this thing. In church, in heaven, God opens up the 7th seal of the book of the Revelation, and Brother John, what ends up happening from there is heaven goes quiet. The seraphim who are circling the throne as I speak, saying, Holy, 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 they stop for a period of 30 minutes in a gasp of breath for how bad that this world is getting ready to receive torment. Complete silence for 30 minutes. And then in chapter number 9, the 5th trumpet judgment has just occurred. And of course, you'll see that in verse number 1, the 5th angel sounded. When he sounds, then we see the coming of the enemy or the assembly to the congregation. Now watch this. In chapter number 9, we also see the 5th trumpet. Grace is over. God's not dealing with man anymore in grace. But now we also are going to see something serious happen. Now we've already seen that the earth has already had so much bad happen to it. And starting in chapter number 6 down through, the waters are turned to blood. We're seeing how there's been great earthquakes. We see that during the tribulation period, 6, 7, 8, look at what happens to earth and the people that's on the planet left at that time. And then we see Then in chapter number 9, though, as these demonic forces are released from their domain, we see them come in, and their job is to torment man. Now, to give you an idea of why I say that these are demons and that demonic forces, they're not in hell, for how in the world could they be in hell and we have to deal with them? Camp 2 years ago, I had to deal with a demonic force. Now, for those of you who think that demons are not even in the Baptist church, I promise you they're in this room right now. Amen. You'd be amazed. That thing looked at me, and we was dealing with a young lady. She turned her head completely around like an owl and called my name and told me what it was going to do. Now you've got to understand, them things are real. These demonic forces are legit. We think they're not, and if we feel like that they're not, then what we can do is we can go out and live our life any way we want to and not think there's going to be reality of issues. Why do you think we're so attracted to these scary movies? Because fear is a spirit. It's a demonic spirit that causes our flesh to almost have to be high with joy, and we get a spiritual addiction to those movies. Case in point, let me just give this. You're walking down the hall, you're walking down a dark room, one time you see something out of the corner of your eye. You think, oh, I didn't do that. Well, then why does the hair stand up on your neck when it doesn't? What do you think that is? It ain't a ghost. There ain't no such thing as ghost. There's one ghost, and he's called the Holy Ghost. Amen. Now watch this. So then, in Jude chapter number 1, in Jude 6, it says, the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day. 2 Peter 2:4. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell. Now right there you say, now preacher, see right there, it says demonic forces are in hell. This is the Greek word Tartarus. Everywhere else, hell is translated as the Greek word Hades. Here it's Tartarus. This is a mythical place where they were held. It was surrounded by, it was a place where it was surrounded by the river Styx. It was a place where, in Greek mythology, where all the damned souls went to until the last day. So we got to get this in our mind. When Peter said that, he wasn't saying they were in the literal hell, like when Jesus said there was a certain rich man, and in hell he lifted up his eyes being in torment. What Peter's saying is these demon forces, they're being kept in a prison until they're released for the judgment day. Now, here we've got to get this in our minds. So these demonic forces, every single one of these things, even to the point that in Luke 8:31, you'll see that these demonic forces look at him and they say, don't send us. You know, the young man with the legion living in him, Christ comes over there and they worship him and they say, please, don't send us to the deep. Don't send us to the abyss. Don't send us to hell. Let us stay right here, wrapped up in our veil of darkness, so that man can't see us, but we can still torment man. Christ said, go. He sends them into the pigs instead of into hell. That's right, amen. So we've got to get this in our mind. Demonic forces, the devil's not in hell. The devil's not there. The devil is if you think about it, the devil's got to be at the left hand of God the Father, because he's accusing the brethren day and night. How could he accuse? He's not omnipotent. He's not omnipresent. He's not omniscient. He can't be everywhere at one time. Where is he? He's got to be in front of the Father. That's the reason why we've got at the right hand of God an advocate with the Father. When the devil accuses us, the sweet Lamb of God, he accuses us, if you'll let me say it that way. Now notice this. But now then, I know what you're saying. I know that this is all kind of, this is kind of weird to see that these demonic forces are being released. Well, let's just go on. How can man, what has man got to do? What can man make? What is this place of CERN got to do with the release of all these demons onto the earth? Well, if you think about it, everything that God's ever done, he's always used man. Everything. See, if you think about it, how did man get into sin? He failed. How did he do that? Adam. Remember what he told Gideon? He said, now Gideon, I can go down there, and he said, I can kill every one of them Moabites and all them other innumerable number of people. He said, I can do that. He said, but it's the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. He could have very easily killed his own son and took his blood and applied it for us, but he didn't. He used the Romans and the Roman death of crucifixion to kill his son. Everything that happens, God and Satan uses man almost in a chess match. But the devil don't understand. God's already hollered checkmate back before the book was ever written. Now this evil that the devil is using to do, chapter number 9, is a place called CERN. Now CERN itself is a French word, and it's an acronym, C-E-R-N, and it just simply means the Council for European Research for Nuclear Activity. That's all it simply means. But I find that it's rather strange because it's named after a Celtic god, Cernunnos, which it was the god of the damned underworld. Now why in the world would they do that? Why in the world would they name this place? Why would they name it after a Celtic god that's the god of the underworld, and the place that the Celtic people thought was a place for the damned? Why would they do that, Maddie? Why would they name this after some horned god? Or the fact that the exact location for the construction of this Large Hadron Collider, which I'll talk about in just a minute, watch this. This Large Hadron Collider is built in the place where they worship the god Apollos. It was called Apolliacum. You can look all this up. And interestingly enough, I've always thought, well, Apollos is god of war, Check this out. He's the god of light. Lucifer, the enlightened one. He was the god of the science of medicine. In the last days, knowledge shall increase. Brother Tim, watch this. He's the god of music. Wow. Now then, all of a sudden, you're starting to see that, man, this place that these men went to and place was right on a place. And by the way, not only was he the god of all these things, but he is also, they put it right where a place where Apollos had an opening to the underworld. Why would they do that? Mark, if all this stuff is just circumstantial, then why would they do these things? Well, I'm going to give you a bunch more circumstances here in just a minute. Watch this. Now, or why, outside of this place, will they have a statue of the Hindu god Shiva? No big deal. With the exception, the Hindu god Shiva it means literally the destroyer of worlds. Oh, I forgot this. I find it ironic too that the Apollo, when they put it where Apollos was, we just read in Revelation chapter number 9 that literally one of Satan's names is called what? Apollyon. Straight from Apollos. So we see that this thing's starting to line up pretty gun barrel straight. But now back to Shiva. Shiva is one of the holy trinity of the Hindu gods. They got millions of gods, but Shiva's one of the holy trinity. And he is the one that you always see him, and he's always dancing with his tongue stuck out. He's doing a dance called the Dance of Destruction. Now why would they have this god outside of CERN itself? Why would they do this? And why in the world would the employees of CERN do the dance of destruction that Shiva does inside the plant? Or better yet than this, why in the world do you think that outside on that statue of Shiva does it have this inscription? Listen to this. O omnipotent, O omnipresent, the embodiment of all virtues, the creator of this cosmic universe, the king of dancers who dances the Ananda Tandava in the twilight, I salute thee. Or the fact that you can go on Google Maps. Now watch this, I've tried this 2 or 3 times. You can go on Google Maps, you can type in I pet goat. I pet goat. Of all the things, that's not even an address. Guess where it pulls it up? It pulls up CERN. By the way, I Pet Goat, you wonder where I got that? Was the book that Bush was reading to the class on 9/11. So you can sit there and you can say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. It ain't a theory. It's a fact. I can prove to you with video facts. So here we see, John, here we see that this place is already built on a place where it's got the opening, preacher Todd, to the underworld. It's named after a god that's the god of the underworld. They've got a picture of the god of the underworld outside, and then in their logo, it's got 666. They don't even hide it. Now, for those of us sitting here, here's what the church does. We'd sit back and say, oh, that's just all circumstantial. Or what about this? On their website, they call themselves the gateway to the universe. Now, what in the world has all this got? Why they've got this Hadron Collider, which is an interesting little device. We'll talk about it in a minute. This thing, it goes in a circle, 17 miles long. It goes 300 feet into the earth. And that thing goes down. If you look on the top of it, it looks like a huge eye. Literally a circle within a circle. Now, why has that got to do that? Well, why would they have, like on the movie The Avengers, why would they have Loki, the god of chaos, come out of a portal from another world? We're watching this. My boys was playing Destiny last night on PlayStation, one of them PlayStation games, and there's something that all these things come from, and it's always a picture of a Hadron Collider. Why would Rihanna walk down the street with a Hadron Collider on her chest in a picture? Now, I know all this is circumstantial. Why would they have the Hadron Collider in the Super Bowl last year when Katy Perry come out singing? It was in the floor. Why would they do that? If all this is circumstantial, then why, for the love of Mary, will we see that it's out in the open? Why is Target? You look at Target, circle within a circle, same thing. We're seeing the devil do things right in our face. And by the way, Target's the biggest supporter of gay rights and animal rights that there is. They don't even sell fishing stuff because they think it's cruel. Why would they do that? Because if what Satan has called us a bill of goods, if evolution is true, then we are all animals. We don't worry about nothing. Eat, drink, be merry, for tomorrow you'll die. We don't have that problem. Now listen to this. Why should we even care about this place? Well, Christ said in Luke 21:36, "Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man." And we're told to watch and pray. The first thing that let me tell you about is the LHC. This 300 foot deep, 17 mile long tube. And what it does is it sends protons. It'll start both sides, and it takes protons, and it'll shoot one yonder way, and it'll shoot one yonder way, and they spiral down at the speed of light almost. And Kenny, they get down there, and picture Curtis, they collide with each other. Bah! And they're making unbelievable explosions. Well, what they're looking for is the Big Bang. They're trying to recreate the Big Bang. They truly believe, just like we all come, everything, it wasn't created by God. These scientists over there really believe that it all comes from what they call the God particle. They're looking for the original life. And they're doing things that are quite interesting according to secular science. But let me give you some comments that were taken from a man named Mike. This is a CERN employee. And this is Pastor Paul Begley was interviewing this man. The question was asked, what is CERN doing? The answer is, this is exactly what this man said. You come into a building. When we walk into a building, we look around, he said, you come into this building and all we see is the building. It's a finished product. Everything's finished. You see the sheetrock, you see the wood, you see the nails, and you see everything that's made. He said, but what we don't see is the glue that holds everything together. He said, now, we can find the glue, because Brother Ali said, all we got to do is just go scrape it off and we can look at the glue. He said, but what we need to find the glue before it was set. He said, basically, we need to go back to right after the Big Bang and check everything out from the primordial goo. He said, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go back to before everything was formed, before everything that is made. We're trying to go back and find how creation started. I find it ironic that they call it creation. But now watch. So then he goes to say that we are trying to recreate the Big Bang. Now he goes on to say that in 1955, they made something they discovered something totally by accident called antimatter, or dark matter. Now these things that they made was quite interesting. This was an unexpected product from the collision of protons. They made this uncontrollable stuff called antimatter, and it's the opposite of matter. Now, to give you an example of how uncontrollable this stuff is, they said that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Check this out. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima took pounds of uranium to blow up and do the devastation. They said 1 gram of dark matter was the equivalent of 5 Hiroshima bombs. 5! Now you say, how much is a gram? Well, let me show you. A small paper clip weighs 1 gram. Not a big one. Small. You take that paper clip, you put it in your hand, that's how much dark matter it would take to destroy all of Tokyo, Japan. Now this is quite interesting because they just don't have grams of this stuff, they've got pounds in reserve. What used to take them years to find, now they can make pounds in seconds. Well, now my question was, okay, where's the dark matter coming from when I watch this? Now he said, when that this antimatter is so volatile, he said that they've got to keep it in certain facilities. And Mr. Earl, he said if that facility fails, it causes massive earthquakes. Massive earthquakes. That's how volatile this is. Where was it, Jennifer? Was it India? Nepal. You know what caused that earthquake? The dark matter, man, it got away. They've admitted to this. And they killed millions and millions and millions and millions of people, all because they're trying to discover the Big Bang. But why should we care? Now this is where it gets kind of interesting to me because he changes. And he said from the late 1800s, from the late 1890s, man has been starting to study occult activity and paranormal activity. Even to this day, you know what, as a whole, now, if we was at first a demon standing here, none of us would be like, hey dude, how are you doing? No, I do that. But as a whole, check out, just go on YouTube sometime. Type in demons. Watch YouTube and look at the hits. People have got an interest with demons and demonic forces. People have got a desire. It's like they have a desire to see these things. Teen suicide and drug use. I mean, it's like pinnacles just zoom and skyrocket. It used to be back in the 50s and 60s, somebody lost their virginity, it was a big thing. Now it's no big deal. Our purity, the purity of these girls and boys around here needs to be something we need to fight for.
Amen. Amen. That's right.
We need to tell them, man, keep yourself. Give yourself to your husband. Give yourself to your wife. Keep yourself. Don't listen to what the devil says.
That's right. Amen. Preach it, brother.
Here we see that in this CERN place, here's what they did. They started doing a study of paranormal activity. And the scientists at CERN have discovered that there's another dimension. They say, look, they announced in the 60s, we have discovered that different from this dimension is a dark dimension. Well, Jacob prayed God. Any Bible-believing Christian could have said, look, you who, I could have told you that.
That's right. Yeah.
So science said there's another dimension that is more violent than this one. And the scientists at CERN say, big shocker, it's a dimension of darkness and flame. I'm not the brightest light bulb in the room, but I could answer that one with 3 little letters. Duh. This antimatter, watch this. CERN knows that this dimension is separated from the other. Both, they call one the dimension of darkness, and Whitney, the other one the dimension of light. And the dimensions are separated by something they call the wall. Well, the Bible calls it the veil. See, the Bible was smarter than them 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
And there's like, oh, so this dimension over here with these extraterrestrials and these aliens, as they call them, and they're being kept over there, and boy, we're kept over here, and we need to get through, and they need to get through, and there's a wall separating us. Well, hey, they're pretty smart, aren't they? Now watch this. The antimatter is literally, according to them, being pulled out of another dimension. All this antimatter that they're getting, they've got pounds of it, it's being pulled out of this other dimension. When that collider hits, pow! All of a of a sudden it separates that wall through the energy, that anti-energy that it's making. And it separates that wall. It's pulling something out of there. And now then they've got this uncontrollable volatile substance called antimatter. Now watch this. They said that they found that these, as they call them, demonic forces or extraterrestrials or beings from the other dimension, are highly attracted to the antimatter. Now, you've got to understand that if they can open up a door and pull this antimatter out, I got a question. What comes with it? What comes with it? It's not just the antimatter. We're just not getting that stuff out. Brendan, we're getting something else out that we don't want. Why do you think that in 2 Timothy 3:1 it says this, "Now in the last days perilous times shall come"? Why do you think that that means demonically empowered, demonically controlled? Why are we seeing wickedness spike globally? It's because there's more demons here. I never could understand that. Preachers, I used to wonder. I'd be like, "Miss Cheryl, why is there more demons here? What is happening?" Now then, I'm starting to understand it. Miss Karen, what's taking place is these stupid scientists over there in Switzerland, what they're doing is they're calling these things in from the other side. And they're inviting them into our world. Geniuses. Now, to give you a case in point, before you think I'm absolutely correct, why do you think that in vampire lore, why do you think that in order for a vampire to come in your house, what you have to do? You had to be invited in. They're inviting these things into our planet. All right, now watch this. Now, what CERN has discovered is that every person on the planet has a connection with both dimensions. In other words, you've got people that can understand Mitchell. They understand what's going on over there in the darkness. And they understand, Chelsea, baby girl, they understand that people can understand what's happening in this dimension. And they understand that these people, case in point, to give you an idea of this, on full moon nights, I wish Mark Harris was here. On full moon nights, he told me he hates full moon nights because it goes nuts. Cameron, full moon nights, what happens? Goes crazy, don't it, brother? You know why? It's because the moon is a picture of the lesser light. The lesser light rules the darkness. Now then, on full moon nights, demonic forces unleashed. They're doing more, and we're seeing things happen that are absolutely unexplainable. Now watch this. They even went so far as, this is such a proven fact to them, that the antimatter was being kept in a college facility. They didn't give the place where it was, but they went and they found this college facility and they made this thing and they said, "We're going to start keeping this antimatter right here. We're going to keep it right here. We're not going to tell anybody about it." Well, the only bad thing about it was, Preacher Todd, people in the college started having terrible nightmares. Wickedness spiked. People in the college started doing things to each other that they couldn't believe, even to the point that they were seeing things walk up and down the halls. People were going crazy. And finally they said, "Okay, we got to get it away from this college." Well, then they said, Now watch this. They have discovered it can be weaponized. The weapon made from this antimatter has been used, this is what this man said, to incite riots. So you look and you say, how can that happen in Ferguson? How can such demonic activity take place? How can some goofball walk into a church in Charleston and shoot those innocent people? Who's to say that they did? Who's to say, I'm telling you, remember in Aurora, Colorado, that boy went in there and he shot all them people up, and you look at him and he's like, I don't even know what happened. I got news for you, church, he may not know what happened. Oh, by the way, you say, well, that's just in Switzerland. There's 14 of these things. I'll get into this a little bit across the world. Guess where 3 of them are? In the red, white, and blue, right here in the United States. One of them, Mark, is located in one of the biggest cities in America. And people don't even know it's there. And we're wondering why demonism is on an increase. Sunday church is praying. We're fasting. We're praying. We need some people with some guts that'll serve God now, that we want to pray and fast, because this thing's about over. And meanwhile, here's the church making plans on Sunday morning and go do things on Sunday night. You go out there, have your time. Don't come back to church. Don't do what you need to do. But it doesn't matter, because the demons are going to be a whole lot more faithful than Christians everywhere.
That's right. Amen.
Watch this. Now watch this. I just want you to hear this. The man interviewed said the weapon was used on him now as a test. And he said he was overcome with feelings of wickedness and that he couldn't hardly overcome. This man said he's a Christian. He was a born-again Christian. He believed everything we do. And he said the only way that he could get out of the pool with this weapon was to start concentrating on the love of God. He just kept telling himself, the Lord loves me, the Lord loves me, the Lord loves me. And he said then he could control it. Now then, CERN has found out something quite extraordinary. They have found out that on 2 days out of this year, this wall is thinner than at other times. You say, now what has this got to do with anything? There's two things. For Tim, there's two things that happen every year. One's the spring equinox, one's the fall equinox. Now the equinox is when the pole, north-south pole, is dead parallel to the sun. It's not like this. It's a time when everything starts to change. And Mad Hatter, what ends up taking place is when it's this way, CERN has discovered that wall is thin. Oh, by the way, in the spring equinox, they turn the machine on about half power. Well, guess when the fall equinox is this year? You want to take a guess? September the 23rd. Now, to give you a case in point of all this, this may not mean nothing to you, but it ought to. September the 23rd happens to also be the day that the Pope is going to speak to Congress for the first time in the history of the United States. Now, let me give you something here. The Pope comes to Congress. What does the Pope got to do with Congress? He ain't got nothing to do. The Holy Papa, he ain't got nothing to do with the Congress.
That's right.
What does he got to do with us? We started this country to get away from that kind of tyranny. We didn't want that junk here.
Amen. That's right.
So was it Danny said he dresses like mama, claims to be papa, and ain't even got no kids. Be all I ever seen.
That's right.
But now, ironically, watch this. Watch this. He's the 266th Pope. 14. 2 plus 6 plus 6, 14. He's speaking on the 23rd of September, which happens to be the 266th day of the year. 14. 2 plus 6 plus 6. On the 239th year of the United States of America. 2 plus 3 plus 9, 14. So you got 3 14s involved with the Pope speaking to Congress. 14, 14, 14. Number 42. 42 is the biblical number of the revelation of Christ. Why? And you say, what's that got to do with anything? Well, there's 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the carrying away of Babylon, and 14 from the carrying away of Babylon to the Christ. See, we've got to understand it. 3 14s by the leader of the great whore in Revelation 18. What are we getting ready to see? Oh, by the way, that's 5 days before the last blood moon of this tetrad. In other words, September the 28th just happens to be the last blood moon of this tetrad, Brother Todd. And this is the 8th one in history, and in all 8 of them, it's always been a major world event happen. Wow. I'm talking about things that happen that has always altered the world economy. Oh, by the way, let me give you this. This is a mere 9 days after, now watch this, September the 14th, 2015. Do you know what starts September 14th of this year? The year of Satan. The global year of Satan. What? We're seeing things happen at breakneck speed prophetically while the church just snoozes on. They have the capability to be, according to chapter number 9 in Revelation, what we just read. They have the capability, T, of being that key. They can unlock the very pits of hell. They can unlock the outer darkness and turn loose demonic forces that's been locked up since Genesis 6 with rage and hate towards man, and all they do is come at him for 5 months. Hurt man so bad. They want to die. Can't. Now, let me just give you this. Think about this thing. During the tribulation period, you could take a 44 Magnum at this point and lay it up beside your head and squeeze the trigger. Blow half your face off. You're not going to die. Christ even went so bad as he said, men will beg the rocks to fall. Could you imagine stamping up on top of the Empire State Building, hitting the ground, PAM! Getting up, walking off. Now, if you want to take that, if you want to stay here with those demonic forces, just don't get saved. Just do what you want to do. You say, preacher, you're crazy. I might be. But then you got a lot of circumstantial evidence. I don't know that I'm the one that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Well, let me just give you some things to kind of nail this fact down. I want to give you a couple more things and then we'll stop. I know it's getting late, but let me just finish this. I want you to see this. There's a man named Sergio Bertolucci. He's the Director of Research in Scientific Computing at CERN. And this is what he said in November 2009. This is a direct quote. Out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. What door? If I'm telling you a bunch of nonsense, then why would Sergio Bertolucci, the guy who's the head of research, why would he say? Why would he say, Chelsea, that there's a door there? Why would he say this? He said this in 2009. Dr. Bertolucci later got in touch to confirm that yes, indeed, there would be an open door, but even with the power of the Large Hadron Collider at his disposal, he would only be able to hold it open a very tiny lapse of time, 10 to 26 seconds. But during that infinitesimal amount of time, we would be able to peer into this open door, either by getting something out or sending something in. Folks, we better wake up. We better open our eyes. There ain't nothing funny about this thing. If you sit there and giggle and laugh, you crazy. You're fleshly and carnal. You need to get right, man. There's millions and millions of people dying and going to a devil's hell. We're talking about the abyss of hell being opened up and turned loose on man. Revelation unfolded. Listen to this. I'm not going on to read. Dr. Stephen Hawking, listen to what he said. He said the God particle could destroy our universe. Now, you've got to understand, Dr. Stephen Hawking is that guy sits in that wheelchair. He's the one that can't speak through that machine. Listen to what he even said. He even began to say, he's looked at evolution, Brother Tim, and here's what he said. He said, church, he said, I've looked at it, he said, there's no way evolution is being used in creation. He said, everything is so precise, there has to be a grand architect. Y'all pray for Dr. Hawking that he'll get saved. Maybe he's not far. But listen to this. It says, by this man named by Stephen Quayle, the men who would play God in searching for the God particle are truly going to find more than they bargained for as they open the gates of hell. They will find interdimensional beings who have a taste for human flesh and humanity's destruction. What about this one? Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist, has said, do they know that they know what they're doing? He's even made the statement that, watch this, if you wanted to blow up a planet, he said CERN would be a good place to start. That's what this man said. These aren't Christians. But this probably shocked me the most. I showed this to Angie. You know right now what CERN's biggest thing was and what they said was their biggest asset? They said the church, the real church, doesn't even believe what they're doing is real. Just give you a picture. 1995 or 6, there was a man named Dr. David Harrison. And he was traveling around here back then. That was before videos. That was before we could do anything. That was before we could use the screens. Dr. David Harrison, great man of God. He put together a message and preached the deception of the age in Charlotte rock music. He'd play rock music. He'd do these things. Well, they had this great big thing built up at the Iredale High School auditorium, West Iredale High School. And he said when he got there, preacher boy that was there said he got there and he looked around and he said that when they got there, said there were sheriffs around that high school auditorium. And he said they never could figure out what was going on. He said they got there, there were sheriffs every so often. They were just scattered around. They were all up against the wall. He said they were in full turnout gear. They were standing there with their guns on. They were standing there just like this looking around. And he said that there was 5 seats. He said the place was packed. Back then people still cared. You know, they still went to church. And he said, but 5 seats about midway. And he said they were sitting there and they couldn't figure out why them 5 seats were open. And Greg Lentz, I don't know if some of y'all know Greg. Greg was one telling me, he said, Scotty, I'll tell you what, he said, we were sitting up there on the stage and he said, we saw something that just made us quiver. He said, about that time this guy come in with a red hood on, and he said there was 4 guys on all 4 corners of them, they all had black hoods on. He said that guy come walking down the hall, said he had on, said you couldn't see anything but from there down on his face. And said he come walking in, had his hands in that hood, just come walking in, he sat down in those 5 chairs. He went down, sitting in the 3rd seat, there was 2 on that side and 2 on this side. They sat there and they said, that boy, listen, said at the altar call, Dr. Harrison got up and started preaching, got to begging people to come to the altar, get right with God. He said them 5 guys got up in single file right out the room. And they went out there and got to talking to him, come find out he was the high priest for the Church of Satan in the western half of North Carolina. In order to be a high priest for the Church of Satan in North Carolina, you've got to have slaughtered a baby, drained its blood. What they do is they take an infant, they actually get a woman pregnant, call it a sacrifice. They pull the child out of the mama, lay it on an altar, they slit its left foot. That's real funny. Laugh now. That's funny. Ha ha, y'all laugh. They slit its left foot, drain all the blood out of that thing, and then the high priest drinks it. No, that don't go on. Gary said when he went out there and got in touch with that guy, said that he looked at him, and here's what he did. He standing there and had his hands in his sleeves like that right there, church, and he looked over there. He said, what he said is true. That man preached on rock, he preached on country, he preached on every music that he could think of, showed him. He said, what that man said is true. But then he did like this. He pointed his hand and started laughing. He said, but those fools are too much of an idiot to believe it. He's talking about the church. And CERN, who's trying to open up the abyss to bring in these demonic forces in Revelation 9, the devil's got them there, and you know what we do? We won't even be faithful to the house of God. I think it's time we stop playing.
Amen. Amen.
There ain't a soul in this room that's not going to stand at the judgment seat of Christ if you're saved. And then at the judgment seat of Christ, honey, it's all get serious then. Ain't going to be no giggling. Ain't going to be no snickering. It's going to be you and God. Everything you've ever done is laid out in front of you since you've been saved. The Holy Spirit of promise, that Spirit of fire, comes and tries it. Whether it's wood, hay, and stubble, gold, silver, precious stones. And that's what you're left with for eternity. But you've also got loved ones. You're sitting back here and you're just kind of biding time. We want to go off hanging out with them on Sunday evenings instead of being in church. We want to go, and what you're saying is, I don't care about them. I don't care about my daughters. I don't care about my mom. I don't care about my dad. I don't care about them. I don't care nothing about them. I don't give, all I care about is me, as long as I'm satisfied. Meanwhile, the devil just goes, all right, keep living like you're living. Keep living like you're living. Why do you think it is that the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons get out there and they work so hard to see people saved? And what do? Complain for TV shows. Preacher has to beg you to go to church on Sunday night. Preacher has to beg you to get right with God. I'm telling you, Mom, this thing is that close. You know? That close. Are we really ready? What if? What if? I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying anything. What if the rapture was the 23rd of September? I'm not saying it is. Nobody knows the day. Nobody knows the hour. to stand in heaven, stand at the judgment seat of Christ, stand there with men like Paul, Jimbo Elliott, men that give their lives. You really ready? How many of us in the room would have said, preacher, I'd go to hell? I'd go to hell, I'd get left. You may be sitting here this morning, you may think, you know what, preacher, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, and if the rapture happens, I'll get saved after. No. That's the reason why he says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he was near. He said, choose you this day whom you will serve. He didn't say tomorrow. He said today. God speaks to your heart. I just don't understand for the life of me why we as Christians won't be faithful to the house of God. God himself has given us warning after warning after warning. Everything that I've just told you, you can go online and find out for yourself. Oh, by the way, I've got 3 months of studying this. I've probably got 40 hours of studying this. I could take you deeper and deeper, but there's no point. Some of you don't even believe what I've told you. I'll prove it to you in just a second. How many of you, without even any head bows, every eye closed, I'm not even asking you to do that, how many of you would be honest this morning? Say, preacher, I've got loved ones. It's time to go to heaven. I've got loved ones that need to be saved. Can I ask you a question? When's the last time you've shed a tear? When's the last time you really let God break your heart? Why won't we let God touch us? Why is it